A common mistake that directors make is they do not spend any time thinking about temp music, and when the time comes, they fill their temp music track with a bunch of pop songs that they hold dear to their hearts. Temp music is the music that you choose to lay into your edit that you will eventually turn over to your composer and ask them to make something of the same energy or vibe. Now, it is true that in some major productions, you may hire a composer who doesn't need temp music because you know their work and you respect their work and know that they're going to do a terrific job no matter what. However, in most cases, you're going to want to include a temp music track, certainly at least to help in the editing, because the music is going to pace how the edit flows and how the action moves through scene to scene. The problem is most directors never think about temp music until the very end, and the editor turns to them and says, well, what are we going to put here for now? This is a huge mistake. The way to do this is to first listen to soundtracks while you are writing. Listen to soundtracks while you are doing prep. Listen to soundtracks when you're in your car on your way back and forth to set. Listen to soundtracks while you start working on your edit. Choose soundtracks that represent the film. You must become very familiar with how music plays within the context of your genre. For example, I just made a film which has been winning several awards, thankfully, called My Movie Starring Paul Dano. Now, it is true I'm a trained musician, so I've always taken a great effort in my soundtracks. In this particular case, I was listening a lot originally to the soundtrack to Amélie, which is a French comedy, a very sweet, light comedy, and they used a lot of French cafe accordion music. And I was also listening to the music of Barbarella, which is a late 60s campy sci-fi film starring Jane Fonda. Now, the reason why I decided to build my temp music using these sources is because I wanted to make the film lighthearted and campy. But I listen to a lot of other soundtracks too, and a lot of classical music as well. Now you may say, oh, I just want to do like a fun hip-hop 4/4 thing. Boom, boom, yeah, sure. But the problem is once you introduce drums into your soundtrack, the audience stops listening to the dialogue and they are now listening to the beat, especially if it's a 4/4 beat, because that immediately responds to them that they should be dancing and singing along. And they are losing the dialogue. This is why I think that 4/4 and backbeats do have their place in film, but are a crutch and a mistake. I made my soundtrack out with accordions and orchestral instruments and piano and old Farfisa organs based upon Amélie, French cafe music, and the camping music of Barbarella. When I finished the score and played it for my friends, I asked them what they thought of the music, and my nephew turned to me and said, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice it. It was so perfectly lined in, I didn't even notice it, because he was captivated by the dialogue and the action, and the music only supported what was happening in the scene. That is the goal. So, do your job, listen to soundtracks.